With all the different metrics on social media, it's easy to get lost. There comes a point after a couple hours where all you see are numbers and disconnected graphs. This is why knowing which key metrics to track on your social media can help you understand what works, what doesn't, and how to fix it to improve your strategy and your results. But not all metrics are the same, nor are they measured in the same way. Let's take a look at 5 key metrics to analyze on your social media accounts without losing your way. Key metric number 1, reach. Reach is the total number of people who have seen your post, whether that be non-followers or followers. What does this mean exactly? Well, the higher the number is, that means the more people have seen your content. This metric shows you how far your content is spreading and how relevant it's becoming. Reaching people who may not know you yet but may have interest in your brand. Your goal? Get those people to find you. But here's the million-dollar question. What is considered good reach? The short answer, look at your average reach across your posts and aim to improve it with future posts. We use Metricool, where you can group data from several months. And at a glance, see which posts have the highest reach for each social network. By looking at this data, we have a number to aim to surpass. Let's break it down real quick and give some context. Generally, social media algorithms work like this. You post, and that post is shown to a small percentage of your followers. If the post does well among those followers, the algorithm says, hey, this content seems interesting, and shows it to more people. People who don't know you or your brand yet. So if you want to gain reach, you must create high-quality posts. For example, this TikTok is great, valuable content to our audience. We talked about a new feature on a social media platform. The result? Well, let's just say this video still grows to this day. Pause your screen and look at the metrics. The same thing happened with this Instagram post. We repeated the formula. Valuable content connecting with the user, and boom. More accounts that didn't follow us were reached than actual followers. You've probably guessed it by now, but valuable content is key. But remember, it's also important that it's shareable content. In fact, in the latest update to the Instagram algorithm, Maseri, Instagram's CEO, talked about the importance of shareable content. The algorithm interprets that it's liked, so then it shows it to users with similar interess. That's why it's also a good idea to use calls to action to make your post even more shareable. Share if you like this post, share with a friend who will love it, etc. Now, the second big question about reach. Alex, is there a format with more reach? Yes, there are formats with greater reach, like Instagram Reels with 40% more reach than other formats. And also social networks with more reach, like TikTok. And while we're on the topic of reach, we also need to talk about SEO. SEO, search engine optimization, means appearing in search results based on the phrase or keywords users are searching for. Sounds easy, but with SEO, there's work to be done. The goal here is to make the social network interpret that your video is the right one for the search term or phrase. As I said, one video isn't enough to explain how to do SEO on social media. So here's another video that can help you with tips on how to optimize your content. Now that you know a bit more about reach, let's distinguish it from our second key metric, impressions. Let's dive into key metric number 2 in detail. Impressions are easy to confuse with reach, but I'll clear it up quickly. Impressions are the number of times your post is shown regardless of whether or not it's seen by the same person multiple times. For example, if a user sees your post twice, it counts as 2 impressions, but only as 1 reach. Reach is the number of times a unique user has seen your post. But let me tell you, if you have a lot of impressions, that means your content was cool. Impressions are usually higher than reach, which only makes sense. And what better indicator that a post is well liked than when a user is viewing it over and over again? It's that meme that makes you smile, that post that gave you great ideas and you saved to refer back to, or a carousel that makes you scroll forward and backward. Basically, this metric shows that your content is relevant and attracts your interested audience. What does having many impressions mean? If a post has generated a good amount of impressions, you've already found the magic formula that makes your audience consume your content repeatedly. This is where it's important to pay attention to the copy. Was there something special, like a specific call to action? Or if the content is a carousel, was a second image used as a hook? And now, what is considered a good impressions ratio? Like with reach, you need context from previous metrics. You need to analyze, see what your best interaction numbers are, and try to improve them. Again, I recommend using Metricool to group data over several months and at a glance, see which posts have the most impressions. Keep that number in mind and aim to surpass it. Key metric number 3, follower growth. This isn't new, right? It's the metric that shows whether your community is growing or not. But it's also true that the number isn't what's important, because it's not about the number of followers, but the quality. Having 500k followers is useless if only 10 of them engage with you. Sure, the number stands out, but say you visit a profile and see 1 million followers. Wow. Impressive. But if you check out the post metrics and see 10 likes, 1 comment, something's wrong. The ratio should not be that far off. Ultimately, it's not about increasing the number. It's about having followers who feel like they're a part of your community and engage with you. I've got 2 tips for you when it comes to this metric. First, treat it like a marathon, not a sprint. Aim to gain followers who are genuinely interested in your content. Don't try to make giant leaks with techniques that don't bring any value. Like buying followers or follow backs, that's a big no-no. This is just going to give you an empty following, or in other words, ghost followers. And trust me, we don't want that. And second, if you want to compare your numbers with your competitors, don't measure the total number of followers accumulated, but instead, the growth you've had. Maybe your competition has more followers, but how much have you grown in the last 6 months? That's the answer to whether your strategy is working. Reach, impressions, and follower growth, the first 3 key metrics. Check. Since we've talked a bit about metrics related to your account and content, how about we talk about the main character in social media metrics? Yes, it's time to talk about engagement. Engagement is a percentage that measures the commitment or love users have for your content. In simple terms, it shows how much they interact with it, giving you an idea of whether they like it or not. It's the perfect metric to know whether you're connecting or resonating with your followers. And yes, love on social media, engagement, can be measured. Although each social network has its own interactions, the formula is pretty much the same on all platforms. Add up all interactions, divide them by the reach achieved, and multiply by 100. Voila, you've got your engagement rate. But what's a good engagement rate? It's logical to think the higher the better. Yes, we do agree on that, but the key is to compare yourself to the previous month or time period you're analyzing to see the progress you're making. You're probably wondering, okay, how can I improve and increase my engagement rate? Take notes, here are some tips. Get to know your audience. It's the best way to connect with them, to know who you're talking to. For example, review Metricool's engagement analytics and find similar patterns in posts with the highest rates, whether it's the CTA, the format, or the copy. Create content that interests your users and encourages them to interact with your posts. Add calls to actions at the end of your posts or videos. Leave a comment, tag a friend, share this post, or save for later. All these actions are interactions which help boost engagement. Here's an example of an Instagram post where we shared interesting content. And we left an open question for users to comment on. This way, you encourage answers that fill up your comment section. Remember to engage with users. It's easy to get into the habit that thinking getting a comment is enough. But no, you have to reply to that comment and any other comment when possible. It's one thing to receive engagement from your audience, but you have to be willing to give that engagement back. Use this opportunity to spark up a conversation with questions and keep that interaction going. This is only going to strengthen the bond with your community. Another tip is to maintain a consistent posting schedule. This tip doesn't directly impact engagement, but it helps. In the end, if you don't keep up a regular posting schedule, users will stop visiting your profile and won't check out your posts. The result? Goodbye reach, goodbye interactions, goodbye engagement. My recommendation is to commit to a posting schedule that you can maintain over time and is realistic for you. I'm telling you now, if your goal is to post once a month, you've already lost the game. Make it realistic, but also challenge yourself. However, if you're truly unsure what your frequency should be, the answer lies in your competitors. Knowing how often accounts with the same number of followers of yours are posting will give you an idea of how often to post. In the social media study we publish every year, we include data on posting frequency by account size. I've left a link in the description so you can download it for free and compare yourself. And now we've reached metric number 5, CTR, or click-through rate. When it comes to social ads, CTR is a major player in social metrics. If it's important to analyze and measure your work on social media, it's mandatory to do so for your campaigns because you're dealing with your money. Want to know if your ad strategy is working? Focus on your CTR. This metric tells you the percentage of clicks a link in your ad campaign has received. It's calculated by dividing the number of clicks by the number of impressions, the number of times your ad was shown. This gives you the data needed to measure the impact of your ad. What's a good CTR? It depends on the social platform where you've created your ad, as well as the campaign and the goal you've chosen. But typically, it should be between 0.5 and 2%. Here's a bonus tip for CTR, because it's not just useful in ad campaigns. On YouTube, it's also good practice to calculate your CTR on your videos. The CTR shows whether you attracted users with the title and thumbnail, since they clicked on it after it appeared in searches. To calculate the CTR, divide the number of clicks by impressions, which is the number of times your video appeared while users were browsing. If your CTR is below the ideal number, it might be time to rethink the elements of your strategy. Don't forget to review your post copy. Maybe you're not tapping into the user's pain point and you're not seen as the solution they're looking for when the ad comes across their feed. It's also important to check that the links are correct. It might seem trivial, but if you make a mistake with the URL, you can say goodbye to the success of your ads. Do a final check on the link in your ad. Review the multimedia content. Maybe the image or video isn't performing as well as you expected. And instead of helping your ad, it's turning people away. I have one extra tip for you. For ad images on Meta, always use A/B testing. And the same goes for YouTube thumbnails. Choose 2 images to set up an A/B test, and they'll be shown randomly until you see which one performs better. Alright, phew, that was a lot. If you've made it to the end of this video, congratulations. Now there are no excuses to not track at the very least these 5 key metrics. Trust us, without them, it will be that much harder to grow on social media. Let me share one final suggestion. Instead of jumping from one social network to another to pull numbers, use a tool to measure all your social media accounts at once. No calculator needed. That way you can work faster. Let me introduce you to the Swiss Army knife of social media, Metricool. You'll have all the data from the social networks you manage in just one click. And of course, the top 5 I mentioned earlier. Check out how easy it is. Go to Metricool and sign up for free for life. There's a link in the description. Connect the accounts you manage here under Connections. Go to the Analytics section and start measuring. 3 simple steps and you've got the metrics at your fingertips. So that's it for today's video. Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and leave me a comment if you want more videos about metrics and how to measure them. See you next time!